YouTube is correct. Twitch may not be.
Pressing. How do I?
Check up here and see on the channel. Mute. No. No. Oh, wait a minute. I think I just realized I went live immediately like this. Well, I did not intend to do that. I didn't realize I was presently live this whole time. Nice. I thought it was just the logo. Well, this is an interesting start. Hello. Hello and welcome to this accidental beginning. I was checking to make sure first, before you saw my face, that we were actually broadcasting a Minecraft stream on Twitch and not a Overwatch one. But now I can't tell because now you have to immediately see me. So hello everyone. Today's topic today is going to be about creative energy, and specifically linked to creative energy, I want to focus in on maintaining it, making sure that you're doing things that kind of doesn't detract from it, and also just kind of look at truths and myths related to creative energy and maintaining that. If you like to dance, if you like to draw, if you like to paint or write, or however many different outlets you can be creative with, you should then know that being creative is not easy. And that's something I like to talk about and just share what I know and have Dan share what he knows, and maybe you'll get something from it. We'll have some fun. Let's jump right into that. Oh no. Apparently my music wants to also come through my speakers. This has just been completely thrown off from what it normally is. Hello, and welcome to thoughtraid, a show where we take on thoughts and find better ways of thinking about them, and also, I guess, troubleshoot issues on the fly, live. Yes, live on the air, which I didn't quite hear that because hadn't hit the right button for it. But anyways, Minecraft. Oh, you can't see me yet, but you can see Dan, so there's that. And you can hear Dan. Yes.
Hi, I'm Dan.
Welcome. Oh no. Okay, good. I thought for a minute the music was also going to come through my speakers. I'm like, what on earth? We're good. It's not that bad. Everything is fine. We're good. And does it say we're doing this in Minecraft? Let's see. It is. All is well. Kumbaya, my lord.
Perfect.
Okay, I can calm down now. Everything is where it should be. My life is ordered as it should be. It is okay. We can join in on Minecraft. I still can't see my mouse. I don't know where the heck my mouse is. It just won't let me see that. So now I'm gonna have to try to guess where my mouse is. Oh wait, I have to do... There we go. I just have to look over in the other stream to then see... We're good. We're good. It's fine. Everything is fine. Nothing is wrong. We're good. It's as it should be.
thoughtraid is a show, though it is unscripted and definitely live.
Very much so. And sometimes things just don't work like you were expecting them to work.
Sometimes a little too live.
A little too... Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Oh my gosh. Anyways, so if this is your first time coming onto the stream, or you're coming to this video after it has been live in the future, this whole world with Minecraft that we're working on here, we have first spent some time trying to find the promised land to start building, and we discovered this beautiful cavernous, I don't know how to describe it, just this gully of a place.
Yeah, a good old-fashioned gully.
Yes, beautiful valley, cavern, one might say. I don't know. Anyways, we found it, and we set down roots. I have tried to go with some sort of acacia wood building style thing, and part of it is what the manual said for me to make, and the other part of it is not, because following directions is hard. Especially, good old-fashioned gully, exactly. Especially when it's a 3D environment instead of a 2D environment like Terraria, which is a lot easier to mimic. So, this is my rendition of what I found on YouTube, essentially. And you over here, Dan, what have you been creating?
Well, you know, that's a good question. I don't know what I've been creating exactly, but I've been doing it. Right now, I'm actually building myself like a more open area, so I can. Because we've got the create mod loaded, and I want to have some space to do stuff with the create mod.
Okay.
Right now, I'm trying to figure out how to make a crusher, or how to make a crusher work. Is that what it's called? Crusher? No. What is it called? A mechanical press.
That is designed for, let's see, mechanical press. I'm gonna look that up.
Well, I know, it makes. I'm trying to figure out how to power it, because I know what it does. It can press different things. Like right now, I need an iron sheet instead of an iron ingot, but that requires a mechanical press. But I'm trying to figure out how to power the press. And I don't know. Does it need like a windmill situation?
Kinda. It needs. You can either do a windmill or you can do a water mill, which gives you the torque.
Is millstone? Is that what I'm looking for as far as windmill? How do I make a windmill?
Hang crank would be the easiest way to make it function. Okay, so you could do that as well, I guess. But essentially, how it works.
A hand crank.
A hand crank.
That would probably be easier.
Just crank that. Crank it real good. But no,
crank it real good.
Trying to think here. You could do a windmill, which is like sticks and wool and something.
Right now, I think I'm just gonna stick with a hand crank for right now.
Okay.
Because that does seem like the easiest. Because I need a sheet of metal because I want to make a rope pulley. Because I want to stop climbing up and down ladders like a simpleton.
Right.
You've got some guests.
Yeah, yes, and they're not burning yet. I wish for them to burn.
I wish for to burn, please. Wooden bracket.
Okay, please. Okay, they're starting to burn. Good. Burn! No one likes you dropping in on people anyways. I need to sleep, apparently, because now they're just like, you're going to die, and I'm going to keep spawning on you every night. Why? You're supposed to never touch me because you're on fire. Go back up there. Get away from me. Go away. Get.
How is that true that they're supposed to never touch you just because they're on fire? I mean...
Well, I mean, like, I just noticed... Okay, Dan. I noticed... When they are on fire, every tick of damage they take, they reset to flying upwards, typically. So, that's what that's supposed to be.
I've never noticed that.
Yep, I have. But in this case, it didn't work. So, there you go. Axe says, but for long-lasting power sources, water wheels and windmills are best. I guess
I'm turning this crank, but nothing's happening.
They're burning with creativity. I'm coming over to you. Let me see what you're doing. Hold on.
What? It's like it slotted in and everything, but it's not actually mechanical pressing anything.
I think you have to keep doing it until it finally the thing descends.
I don't feel like would it take like 30 seconds? I mean, that seems excessive.
I'm coming.
Just sitting here cranking.
You need to put
And
iron on the ground under it.
Getting cranky. Oh, okay. Well, I was just thinking I'll just do a little test. There we go. Bonk. Did you take my... No, it does have to go... Okay, there we go. There it is. I got it. Iron sheet!
What are the sheets used for?
They're a component in the rope pulley, which is what I'm working on now.
Yes. Yes,
so
yes.
I need... Okay, so I just need wool. I've got wool.
Dan.
And I need to make andesite casing again. Yes, hello?
Dan.
Yes?
There's no space for me to just jump right off into water, so I have
It's true.
I have to
That's why we need the pulley!
That's true. I have to use my legs to go down this ladder.
Ugh.
This is
the worst.
It's subtracting from my creative energy. No.
Good. Nice.
No.
I squanched it again, baby. Alright, so now it's time to make a rope pull. Alright,
Pulley.
Yeah, oh, but andesite casing. That's what I need first. Okay. Oh, but I can do it right now.
At the same time, I need to create for myself a barn. Because part of my goal is to have a barn to fit in all the different animals, especially sheep. Sheep and cows, so we can start having enough wool for whatever else might be necessary, like a windmill. I think that's a part of the process of making a windmill. What is this? Oh, I already got started. Look at that. Past me was already ahead of it.
Nice. What's this?
What? What's what? What are we looking at?
I'm imitating you.
Oh!
You're like, what's this? Oh, it was me. It was me all along.
Oh my gosh! I'm unresponsible.
Okay, I made a rope pulley now. Alright, another crank, I guess. Crank. Time to get cranky!
I'm so excited once I actually will have like a graphics card, a new graphics card for all of this. Because it's already beautiful now, but sometimes there's just that slight bit of lag because it's just not... The graphics card is kind of old and this is kind of new of graphics. But when I get that new graphics card, I'm telling you...
Hey, Axeman, since I know you're watching, and you're watching me fumble, what am I doing wrong here? I've got a rope pulley. Do I need to make rope? Is that what I need?
I think it needs to be attached to something.
I do need rope and nail, don't... No, that's from Comfort, so that's not...
Yeah, no.
Anything. How do I attach it to something?
Well, actually, if you go to the pulley... when you press E, when you press E, and you look at it in the yeah. So rope or pulley, yeah. And you go over the object and you hold down, to the object itself. So down there and hold W. It might. I think it will start.
Tutorial.
Yes.
Okay. Can move blocks vertically when given rotational force. Does there need to be a block below it or something? Direction and speed of movement can depend on something. I didn't read it fast enough. Super glue. Excuse me.
And Axe is saying it actually doesn't take a ton of wool for windmills. It mostly takes a lot of sticks. I think you need that redstone attachment thing. He forgets the name.
This thing here, which I can't hover over and get.
Hit Q.
Gear shift.
There you go.
Gear shift and cogwheels. Okay, so I need to power this gear shift with redstone, and then because like a hand crank isn't good enough. Well, you're not good enough for you're too good for a hand crank. Oops.
Oh gosh.
All right. Well,
I have so many fences to have to work on. And I still have the pig and the chickens from what you helped me get, Axe. So I'll have to find them a home. I'll have to make like a separate hen house for my chickens. I'm doing absolutely nothing with Create Mod. I'm still just trying to build regular stuff. My goal is to like have all of these buildings already in place for Create Mod and then put Create Mod in there.
I mean, it makes sense in a way to have your infrastructure in place, but I'm just trying to skip it, you know?
Fair. So, yeah. So, the goal today's stream, the main thing that I want to kind of cover is on the topic of, like, maintaining, and specifically, I wish there was a better word than this because it feels like a very Christian word, but it's still the only word that I can think of, but to steward your creativity. But I think it's the best word to use for this because it's not all about, like, protecting it per se. It's not like it's a resource that just, like, the only part of it is keeping it safe. Part of it is utilizing it correctly or, like, you know, taking proper action steps to let it flourish.
Yeah. Would you say maybe cultivating creativity is part of it?
Cultivating to have more of it. But even still, that would work. But even still, part of it, you just are going to have creative limitations you have to work with. You can't just be continuously creating. So, like, you can... But then again, it's not like you can say, like, you can't continuously every year cultivate a farm. So I guess it's a part of it, yes. It's just not still quite the word that I'm thinking of. And I can't think of what the word I'm thinking of, which is not helpful. By the way...
I'm not creative enough right now to think of it.
Wow!
Wah.
But anyways, the main thing that I want to kind of go over... I just keep saying a lot of words. Whatever. Is just... how to maintain it, truths about it, myths about it, because the creative energy is something that we've definitely talked about on thoughtraid before, and you've been kind of spearheading that too at times. Like one of the very earliest streams we ever did came into like talking about creativity, and you had like a really big thing that you mentioned at the time that none of us on the stream had heard, but you had probably read from somewhere, I think. Yeah. And it was to the lines of like, you cannot critique and create at the same time. Mm-hmm. And that is a big thing that's stuck with me ever since that stream.
Yeah, you can't critique and create, or you can't create and criticize at the same time. But
pretty big.
Yeah, I mean both of those things. Honestly, though, both of those things are important to creativity. You know, if we're thinking about creativity as a whole, you do need the critiquing part as much as you need the creating part. Even though it's called creativity, it feels like the create part would be more important. But I'm not sure that it's more important. I think it is as important as being able to critique. It's just that you can't do them at the same time. Yeah,
because it's a whole different brain function when you're starting to critique. Like, you're looking at your work critically, but if you have no work to look at critically, then it turns into, why have I had no work?
Yeah, well, if you have had no work, but if you've created... So, like, I don't know, there's this weird, I think, it feels like there's this weird sort of back and forth that happens with creativity a lot of times, where sometimes like there have to be moments where you're just going buck wild, throwing stuff out there, trying, you know, just kind of flowing and not really like that's the create part, right?
Right.
And then there are other times where you have to look at this, what you've done, and apply some limits to it and refine it and trim it down. You know, like if the only thing that you're ever doing is just kind of like throwing things out there without any direction or trimming it down, that kind of a thing, then it kind of this still isn't working. I'm like trying to get this gear shift at the same time. I don't know. So I lost my train of thought. So I was talking about creativity and how, you can't just always be in that state where you're only just throwing stuff out there without caring about the end result. You have to then, like, after you throw stuff out, like if you're writing, you know, you throw a bunch of words on a page, then you just write. You don't critique at the same time. You don't try to like refine it at that moment. You just throw it out there just to see what you can get down on the paper. And then at a different moment, or, you know, sometimes right afterwards, you can go back and say, okay, now it's time to refine this. What do I do with this? Do I like the way that it's turning out? How can I trim this back to its best parts? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Because, like, in the creative process, while you're going about writing, painting, whatever, I don't know, I just, like, it's hard, you try to do those two things at the same time, like, it's just, like, I feel like, okay, the creative process, in a sense, is like pulling water from a well, or pulling water out of a some kind of like I don't know. Have you had a fish tank at some point, Dan? That you've had, either your parents had them or whatever, like a decent sized one. Okay, well, I now have, thanks to my parents, a 5-gallon fish tank, and periodically I have to get water out of it to pour in new water because it gets grimy and full of algae and crap. And I have a tube that goes into the fish tank, and then there's a pump that I can squeeze, and then there's the end where the water pours out into the bucket. And I have to give it a good squeeze a couple of times before the water starts coming out of the fish tank. But after doing that, then you have this constant stream of water transferring from the fish tank into the bucket below. And I think in a similar way, creative process, you're having to pull out of yourself this imagination that's up in there in your head. And if you are critiquing, it's a different process. You have to stop taking the creative energy out of your head to then look at what's there in front of you. And then it's like whatever you manage to pull out stops. Similarly, when I pull the head that goes into the fish tank that's sucking up the water, and I lift it above the water level, it ceases to suck up any more water. It can't get anything else, and whatever's there drains in the bucket, and then it's dry. And so critiquing is taking that out of the water, out of the creative pool, and now you're observing what you've transferred out of your head into this world around you, onto paper, into a canvas, onto computer screen, whatever it is you're creating with. And I feel like at least that's the visual that's coming to my mind when I'm thinking about the process. So like, that's why you can't just both like, oh, I'm gonna paint this and then I'm gonna start critiquing it immediately, like, and you haven't finished. At the same time, if you don't ever stop to look at what you're making and, like, you know, look at it, not everything that comes out of your mind is actually that tremendously creative. You know, it's a rehash of something you've done before. It's, I don't know, it's not always the most creative thing possible, and the way to find that is to stop and examine what you've created so far, the critiquing process.
Yeah, when you're throwing stuff down, there's going to be some stuff in there that's good, and a lot of stuff in there that's not. Or even if it's not, there may be a harsh way of looking at it, but it's like maybe a less harsh way. I'm trying to think of a less harsh way to word that. That's not, because it's not necessarily good versus not good. It's just, it's like usable maybe versus not usable, or not as compelling. I think compelling might be a good word.
Here's what's coming to me from this one, because it's bloatware. And now I'm thinking in computer programming terms.
Sure, yeah.
Like, not everything that you can creatively think of goes with what you're trying to make. So, like, if you're starting to paint, and then you add this, and you add this thing, and then you add another thing, eventually there's just too much happening on the canvas, kind of thing.
Yeah, it'll be overwhelming to look at.
It'd be overwhelming. It's not necessarily that it's bad, it's just too much is going on, and it's not good enough. In life, every creature has, and even every plant has, its lane. Like, what it's best at, what it does good, not everything is a beaver, not everything is a hummingbird, not everything is a cat. Like, everything has its specific function, and humans are no different. Every human has their own strengths and weaknesses, and every piece of art also has to have its strengths and weaknesses, what it's made for. And so if you're trying to make this art that's literally everything, that's one too much. Like, that will drain you. Trying to make, like, it would take a lot of time. It won't be very proficient if you're trying to be proficient, that is. Now, granted, if you're not, then that's on you. But if you're not trying
to... That's your deal.
Yeah, that's your deal. Like, your creative process is your creative process, and if this is your magnum opus you're working on, well, then take all the time you need to, I guess. But if you have to do it within a certain limit of time, or, if there's a certain amount of time that you can work before you kind of run out of creative energy, then you have to, like, okay, what is it that I'm specifically trying to create in this piece? Mm-hmm. And the critiquing process helps you kind of figure out, okay, this works, this doesn't work, this is what I'm trying to accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah, and now, actually, to go back though, because I was saying, well, maybe it's harsh to say, because I do think that there is something to the fact that when you first start out with something creative, you're usually not very good at it.
True.
When you first start out. And that's okay, because, like, that is in every person ever alive situation.
Right.
No one starts out good at things. People may start out, like, with a sort of more of a proclivity towards something.
Right.
But it still needs to be developed.
Right.
So there's never a situation where someone is just immediately really good at what they're trying to do creatively. So, look what I did creatively. It looks terrible.
Ooh, I wanna see
like I was saying, but it works.
Hey.
I got a watermill connected up to this, so now it's super slow, but it's a functioning lift now.
Let's go. Now, to my understanding, the way that you get that to go faster is you introduce cogs. The more cogs you have connected to your water wheel, it can increase or slow down the torque.
Gotcha, okay.
If that's the right word. I don't know if I'm using the right word, but that is the word that I know to use.
Might be right.
I could be pulling the word out of my butt for all I know, but that's the word. I think that's the right word.
Torque booty.
Get that torque.
So yeah,
torque. I'm sorry, I'm done now. Okay.
Get torquing. Yeah. So no one starts out really creative or good at things. It's a process. It takes time. But that's another reason why you can't create and criticize at the same time. It's like when you're in the process of learning something, you're going to be bad at it. You have to accept that you're going to be bad at it. Otherwise, you're going to shut yourself down. You know, you're not going to want to keep going because you're going to be disappointed in yourself every time for not being good at it yet.
Why am I not immediately perfect at this, Dan?
That's
I need to
honestly what I expect of myself sometimes, and it just doesn't work out.
I need to be instantaneously good at this. Otherwise, I'm terrible.
Tim, a while back, he was talking about he had a friend that he wanted to dance. Now his friend is a dancer. He asked them to show him how to be a good dancer, and this friend was like, well, honestly, before you become a good dancer, you have to be willing to be a bad dancer first. It's like, I mean, that's how it starts. If you haven't been used to moving your body to the rhythm, it's not gonna immediately come naturally to you. Some people are better. It comes more naturally to some people than others. So I'm not saying that no one is ever. I mean, you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
yeah.
People can have a natural tendency to be good at something, but they don't start out a master. Like,
right.
No one ever starts out a master. So it's another reason that you can't create and criticize at the same time.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like in some ways there's some areas that, like, when it comes to the whole creative process, that I'm pretty good at when it comes to giving myself space to just be. But then there's other times where I'm like, maybe I'm not as good at it as I think, because I have been in the process of writing again. Like, seriously, sitting down, pouring my heart out into a story, and being creative about it, and sometimes it is so hard, because I started, I'm like, I begin to, like, notice, like, immediate loopholes, or not, plot holes or something, or like, I think of another direction I need to take it, and then I just get bogged all the way down, and then I have cranked out essentially 2 pages thus far.
Yeah. Welcome back, Axeman.
Hello. How is the dog? How is she?
How is Doja?
Doja.
I know what that feels like. Just getting bogged down with, like, the weight of wanting to be. Sometimes just, like, thinking too much about the creative process can get in the way of the creative process itself. Sometimes, you know what I mean by that?
Like, thinking about it too much gets into the way of it. Yes.
Yeah, like, you're overthinking, so there's moments where you're trying to, where you should be creative and just let yourself sort of flow.
Mm-hmm.
But instead of doing that, you're bogged down with all the details and thinking too much about the creative process itself. That can cause issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, actually, I wouldn't consider it from a writing perspective working on the grammar or syntax of a sentence as a part of the creative process. It's more of the editing process. But I've definitely, as I've started to write, I will start writing a couple things, and then I'll think, I've used this word already twice. I need to think of another word. And then I'll just lose my train of thought of where the story is going, because I'm thinking about, I can't keep using the same word over and over again.
Yeah. So, okay, so actually that's interesting to me, because whenever I do some writing for the D&D campaign, because I like to write out certain things that I know the party is going. I'm the DM. If anyone listening, I'm the DM, and I like to write out certain things that I know the party is going to encounter as an introduction to those things. I mean, obviously a lot of D&D is improv, but a lot of it is prep work on the DM's part. So I like to, I don't know, if it's a new area, I like to write something out, if it's, whatever. those kind of like maybe deep lore dump things, lore dumps. I'll try to write it out a little bit more, and I run into that actually. I run into that pretty often. Like, oh my god, I've been using this word,
really
over and over and over again, and I have to like. I don't know. In my creative process, I have figured out how to, pick up on the fact that I've used this word too much. What's another word? Just pull up the thesaurus, and find a word that I like. I've been able to do that most of the time. I don't lose my train of thought where I am in the story. I'm able to right then and there find a different word. So, are you saying that in your creative process that whenever you try to do that, you lose your momentum?
Well, it's not that I can't find it and keep writing. It's that I stop to find the word, and I overthink it. Like I get into thinking like. And sometimes I'll try to think like very creatively to talk about some specific event that's happening, and I'll put all of this thought and effort to make it sound really beautiful of a sentence. But then I've made no progress in terms of like pushing the story along so much as I have done in creating a beautiful sentence.
Yeah.
And so that's what kind of gets me bogged down, is like, okay, now this beautiful sentence is here, but like it's taken me, because I will sit there and I will think, I want to get this to sound like, I want this to be a beautiful, captivating sentence that really just flows nicely and paints the picture and everything. And then I'll sit there for like 30 minutes to write one sentence or something, because then my mind will then begin to wander off onto other things as I'm like trying to think of this particular sentence. And it's not an exact depiction of my process, but it definitely has happened where I will just kind of get stuck. And then nothing will get written because I'm just like thinking about all these other things.
Yeah. It's interesting. So, I mean, like...
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Well, I lost my train of thought now.
Dang it. Well, while we wait for your train to come back to station, Axe is saying, I have a question. I don't know if it was already covered, but how do you guys jumpstart your creativity?
For me, it's inspiration. Like, I try to look for inspiration, and the inspiration that I look for, where I look for it, depends on what I'm doing. If I'm doing writing, if I'm doing DM prep work, I typically will just browse different fantasy art. I'll look at like landscape, different like fantastical landscapes that people have drawn. I'll do that kind of thing, and like either I will base something completely off of what I've just seen, or I'll take elements from it. But there's this book that I read a few years ago that I can't remember, the title might actually have been this, but either way, one of the very like the main points of the book was that good artists imitate, but great artists steal. Like the statement means,
that's interesting.
Yeah, it means like don't be afraid to try to directly like recreate something. Which is not really the same as stealing as we might think of it, because like I feel like when we talk about stealing art now, it's like people are copying and pasting like a photo or a paragraph directly from someone else. That's not what I'm saying. That is actual theft, that's actual plagiarism. But if you are saying, okay, this writer, this photographer, this painter really inspires me, and this particular piece really inspires me, one of the good, like one of the best ways that you can learn how to be more creative and how to jumpstart if you're in a funk, just try to recreate literally what you see, because it'll turn out different. Like, it's going to turn out differently than the original artist, because you are a different person. Like, you have different experiences. It's not going to turn out the same. But in the process, you'll learn a lot. And I don't know. I think that inspiration is very important to either jumpstarting creative processes or keeping them alive or things like that.
That's an important part, but you've said it in a way that I've not heard it before. But it's an important part of the creative process that I've already kind of come to terms with, but now I'm coming to terms with it in a different way, how you've said it, because I've not thought of it in that way. And that is, a part of the creative process really truly is borrowing or stealing, if you will, off of other people and what they've created. And not be ashamed of doing that. Because, I don't know, at 30 years of age, I am now aware that there is more and more, there's nothing new under the sun. So to try to actually create something new is impossible, or almost impossible. I'm not sure quite yet if it is entirely impossible, or if it's just, like, and there might be, like, a chance that you actually can make something completely new, but it almost feels like it is. At the very least, in order to make some new rendition of something, or something that is truly your own, it does take, there is no true original. That does take taking from someone else's creativity and working from that. Like, so many artists nowadays are borrowing art styles from Japan. Like, heavily.
Yeah, if I could real quick respond directly to there is no true original. I agree with that. I don't know if you meant it. I don't know how you meant it, but I will say that if it's coming from a place of cynicism, I think that may be not really fair to creativity. It's just how creativity works. You borrow, you get inspired, and like, it also takes a lot of the pressure off to realize and be okay with the fact that you're not going to create completely original things. You're going to borrow heavily. You're going to take from this person and combine things, because that's what creativity is. That it's adding a little bit of you to a lot of the things that you have gathered from others.
Well, so no, it's not coming from a place of cynicism. I'm saying, like, I've gone through the process as of this whole year of trying to think about, like, what's something that has never ever been made before. And every time I come up with a new idea, I end up realizing, no, it existed here, it existed here, it existed here. I'm like, oh, dang it. Well, that's not completely new. And I'm, like, wondering if it's possible to actually truly make something that truly has not had its basis from somewhere. Like,
yeah, and I wasn't necessarily I was just talking to Axeman's statement, not necessarily even yours, but right, like, I think the point that I was trying to make was regardless of, like, what the intent was behind that statement, it's easy to view creativity kind of with a negative lens because there's nothing new, but I would argue that that's not really fair to creativity, to view it that way.
Well, yeah, no.
So, yeah. And Axeman, I didn't really think you did mean it that way. I was just saying, because I've actually thought about it. I've thought about it negatively myself. I've thought, people, there's no creation, no one's original, there's no originality, blah, blah, blah. I've been really cynical about it, and I've had to confront that and change my own perspective about it. So I guess in a way I was, just talking to my past self as much as anyone else listening.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've come to terms personally the fact that just, like, I can't make something completely, like, pull something out of nothing. Like I can't just like fabricate something I've never experienced or seen or whatever. And like, it hit me as I was building the roleplay that I've been doing, that you've been a part of, Axe, where like we come up with this idea about the Daeween or the Cithrin, but what are the Cithrin but elves? Just, you know, twisted into a slightly different version. Or the Agilon, which are dragon people. Like, you know, there's stuff that already exists out there. We didn't create something that doesn't exist, period. But we have taken it and we have made it our own. And so no one's going to have an Agilon in the way that we've made an Agilon. Or a Cithrin, or a Hualapai. Those things are uniquely ours and different from what other people have created and can create.
Yeah. Yeah, like you're going to... The originality of whatever art that you're working on comes from the fact that you are not a copy of anyone else.
I'm enjoying this, Axe.
Yeah, dude, that'd be fun. I'm trying to get this mill to do anything. It's not doing anything.
It probably also needs some... Oh, you got it. Okay.
I mean,
It seems to be grinding stuff.
It is now. I don't know what was happening before. What is it? Is it just eating my stuff, though? I mean, why...
I don't know.
I didn't get any item from it.
You gotta click on it, like harvest it.
I gotta click on it.
Yeah, like right click on it.
Oh shoot! Look at that! I got wheat flour. Thank you, Axeman. I'd be lost without you.
Whatever would you do?
Die.
Oh, wow!
Oh, it's a lot of pressure, oh boy.
Oh!
Oh.
Oh, wait, there's a
man.
horse down here with a saddle. When did that happen? What? When did this horse with a saddle get down here?
That's a good question.
I don't remember. I have to
Oh,
look.
wait, is that my horse?
Maybe. It's in a hole.
There's a horse in a hole.
Hold on, I'm loading up.
Oh, wait, by the way, you'll need a new IP. Port remains the same, however. Let me get you the new IP, because apparently mine changed. It is now this.
Alright.
I've got... Yeah. Yeah! I like that crate. Yeah! It just keeps getting louder and louder until we all die. I like that create mod lets you make slime balls.
Ooh.
I've always felt like that's such an unnecessarily difficult item to get in Minecraft, in vanilla Minecraft.
What's the recipe?
Well, you do have to make a mill, and you have to have wheat, and you have to mill the wheat, and then you take the wheat flour, and you combine it with water to get dough, and then you combine that with lime dye, which is the only thing I don't have yet. So, like, it's still, I mean, it's still, you know, there's a process to it, but it's not like, what annoys me is not necessarily the amount of work, but the randomness of it in vanilla Minecraft. Like, there's no way to know if you're in a slime chunk.
True.
Other than if slimes just start spawning, or if you look up the seed. But we're not in a vanilla world, so we can't do that. Plus, the other, like, kind of surefire far way to do that is to go to a swamp at night, but I don't know if there's swamps in this world.
Oh, there is. Where? I don't know, but there is.
Well, like, I don't know if they would be the same, you know, if they would have the same spawning mechanics, since this is not a vanilla world.
It should.
Well, I'm glad that I can make them.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, they can be made, and that's what's most important here.
This kind of makes, this is like, why have I not played with Create Mod all of these years? It's pretty dope.
It's really amazing. It's very intimidating. That's my issue with it.
I
There's-
mean, yeah.
There's
That's probably
just so much functionality with it. I'm just like, oh, I could do this, but
that's probably why I haven't, because I just, I'm just like, oh, it's so much to learn. I already know Minecraft, and I have to learn Minecraft again.
Whole new aspect of Minecraft.
A whole new Minecraft.
With new creations that I don't know. Oh.
No one to tell me how, except for Axeman. Thank you.
Oh gosh.
And you know what? It's actually funny. I just learned about how to do the rope pulley thing last night because I was trying to make an elevator system myself.
Yeah, nice.
Heyo.
So I would have just spent this whole session being super annoyed and frustrated if it weren't for your adventures last night.
Woo!
Oh, whoops. I accidentally reloaded shaders when I did not mean to reload shaders. That's nice.
Alright, lime dye. I need to get lime dye.
And I'm about ready to have my first fenced area, and it's awkwardly shaped. But that's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine.
My OCD is not fine right now.
My OCD is dying. However, yeah.
Do you cook cactuses to get green dye?
Yeah.
Am I remembering that right? Okay.
That I did not know that was a thing.
Yeah, dude.
I'm learning new things.
What are you gonna do about it now? That's vanilla Minecraft, fool.
I'm literally going to do nothing about it. I'm gonna be straight up honest with you, Chief. Oh man.
Do you guys have any Lily of the Valley flowers?
No. No Lily of the Valley flowers. I have been focused entirely on making this area for farming. Or ranching, excuse me.
I don't know. I need to check.
Yeah, it could be in one of our chests, but I don't know.
Oh boy, did one of you come over here? Oh, my trap doors have been messed with.
Oh no, that was probably a creeper.
Oh!
Actually, that tells me that you didn't watch the stream where that happened. It wasn't a creeper.
But it
That's all I'll
was
say.
it was a person creeping.
Well, we don't know if it was a person. Well, we do know, but we won't say.
Find out next time.
Next time on What the Heck Happened to My Base?
Oh man, it's been really interesting getting back to actually creative writing. It feels completely different from text-based RPG. Like a whole nother animal.
Yeah.
Like the creative process that goes into making a text-based RPG is a lot simpler because I have however many other people helping me in the process of making a thing. So if I fall flat in my writing, I can rely on Axeman for you to help me write certain things because you are also involved in the storytelling process. However, if I fall flat when I'm doing my own storytelling, no one's there to rescue me. I'm alone in an uncomfortable territory.
Oh, no.
Oh god.
Oh god, there's a creeper in the hole. No!
Oh god! Oh god!
No, my horse!
Your horse is okay, it's okay. Well, there's a zombie coming now, though. He's focused on me
Get out of
now.
here.
It's fine, he's focused on me.
I need good flowers.
I'm gonna store them here. Fine.
Okay. I'll take your word for it, that is fine.
Watch over him for.
Okay. I can't
We
promise he'll stay there, though, because it's not
no.
closed in.
We might want to turn off the time-changing mod, just remove it because it's really messing. I've noticed that sunrises and sunsets are like super wonky.
Really?
Yeah, like the shaders do wonky things that they don't normally do. And also, but honestly, the main reason I said that is a Byakua's
Yes.
What? Oh, well, the timer on like the maps, the mini maps timer that's in the corner of my screen is never correct.
Ah. Well, then that's something we'll have to have done for next stream.
It doesn't understand. So I have no idea what time it is. It might be getting close to dark. It probably is. Will I die?
Maybe.
One
I
day.
refuse.
One day.
Not even in real life.
Never. I have a.
Not even once. I know a lot of you out there are tempted to die, but I have some advice for you. Not even once.
Just don't.
Stop.
Oh gosh.
Think about it. Is that what you really want?
I die for my friends, not for myself.
I'm killing cows.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Moo.
Well, if they would just man up and decide not to die.
Then you would never have leather.
It's all their fault that they're dead. Not even once.
Oh my gosh. Oh dang it! I forgot what I was working on. Okay, I needed to. Okay, sorry. Ignore me. I missed it. We're good. It's fine.
Everything good over there.
Everything is fine. It's good.
Yeah, over there is good.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes.
I don't even know where to find Lily of the Valleys in this custom world. Brandon, everything I know about Minecraft is useless.
What do you need lilies for?
I have for white dye.
Just use bone meal.
I don't want to. I want a renewable source, and there are no skeleton spawners nearby that I've found.
Do you need a ton of white dye?
I mean, I want a renewable source because I want to be able to make slime balls.
Do they renew if you have bees? Hello, Zap!
No bees do renew. Hello, Zapparoni.
How do they renew then?
What, Lily of the Valley?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I do need bone meal still for those. Whoops.
Rip.
Dang it. My master plant.
You're here to complain about the stack size.
Well, welcome. Why don't you go ahead and get started?
Please, unpack.
Unpack your trauma, please. This is a safe space for your stack trauma.
Just stack trauma. The topic that we've been having today has been about creativity and kind of stewarding it well, because part of creativity in its stewardship is doing things that would help increase how much you're able to be creative, so you're not just kind of running dry so easily. But another part of it is involved with I'm trying to think of the words here.
Well, we've been talking about the creative process itself.
Yeah.
How you can't create and critique or criticize at the same time.
Right.
You gotta have that period where you're creating, then take a step back to critique, then go back to creating. They just don't work together. It's like trying to press the gas and the brake at the same time.
Right. Also, thinking about it, Zap. Do you do any kind of creative stuff, like writing, drawing, painting?
Hey, I need to interrupt.
Food.
Are you guys near beds?
I'm sleeping.
I'm
Nice.
not at all, so.
And we're up.
Cool. We're up. I was out in the open with no cover, so I needed some I needed some help.
Mom, pick me up. I'm scared.
You know, Zap, I do a little bit of short stories of my own, but nothing much. So short stories, how short? And what are the topics that you write about? I'm curious.
I'm very curious, because that's what I'm starting to do now.
One thing that we haven't talked about yet, really. We've mentioned that we're going to talk about it. How to like protect your creativity, how to foster it, how to cultivate it, that kind of stuff.
I originally wanted to be a writer a couple years ago before I found my true passion. Passy. Rip autocorrect.
I actually want to just call it Passy now. I think I found my Passy.
Complaining about stack.
Complaining about that's your passion. Well, live your dream.
Hashtag suffer. Oh. It is my destiny. Do you still have the... Oh, that's a creeper. Hello. Do you still have the dream to be a writer? Like, is that still legitimately a thing? I'm very curious about that.
Hey, what do you say?
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Nice.
You'll be getting no excuse me from me.
You know, why even call it a white tulip if it just makes light gray dye? You know, like.
That is a good question.
What are you even doing with your life?
The only thing that apparently that makes white dye is bones, and
bones.
And bones. No, and Lily of the Valley. I guess we could go to the Nether and try to find some. That's kind of a renewable source. If we find the Nether wastes. Wait, no, the soul sand areas.
So going into the Nether to find the soul sand, that's where we'll find a lot of black, like skeletons.
No, I don't think.
Be like
withers
bone blocks.
Withers don't spawn there, do they?
Do they regular skeletons?
I thought normal skeletons spawned in the soul sand areas.
I don't know.
But also there are bone blocks.
Ah.
Yeah.
Nether
Doesn't even
fortress?
have. Nether fortresses do have the nether wither skeletons. I know that. Normal skeletons and fossil spawn. Yeah. Soul sand valleys. That's what I was thinking.
But you're saying over here, though.
Zap said not exactly. I've kind of lost the drive after taking a thorough look at it and realizing how difficult it would be. Yeah, I mean, it's a huge sacrifice, honestly. Like to really pour yourself into a creative career. It's not an easy thing to accomplish, and it takes a lot of sacrifice. It's not to say that you couldn't do it, though.
Yeah. Are you sure it's not like a matter of where you kind of like got discouraged when you're in the process of writing, kind of thing? Because I know for me, I get my being discouraged and being not interested mixed up all the time. Where like I feel like I'm doing a bad job, and then I get discouraged, and then I think I'm not interested in it anymore. When in reality, I'm actually very interested in it. It's just that I thought I did such a terrible job, so why try? And then it just kind of gets mixed up. So is it something like that, or is it just truly you're like, nah. I just can't imagine myself doing that for the rest of your life. What about from like a fun sense? Not necessarily as like a career sense, but a hobby sense. Maybe something like that.
That is something to consider. Like the fact that it's not guaranteed to make you money is not necessarily a reason not to do it.
Yeah.
I can say that there are a lot of things that I do creatively that I don't think I would be in as healthy a state of mind if I didn't do those things. But they don't make me money. They're just an outlet. They make me more fulfilled as a person.
Yeah. Like, for me, I may actually one day get to writing and do it for financial purposes. Well, not as a benefit, not as a because I'm only going to do it for the money. Because I do legitimately enjoy writing. But I want to actually...
Do you?
I do! Let me tell you, Dan. Okay?
Brandon.
Let me tell you.
I'm just kidding.
I know.
Uh-oh. Whoops.
I am... Oh.
I accidentally activated my rope bridge and now I've shoved a block all the way to the ground.
Oh no.
Oh my god, that's beautiful. Anyways, so I now...
What happens if I stand under it? Will I die? Here, experimenting. Here we go.
Here we go. I'm
It
watching.
won't kill you, sadly.
Oh, nope.
Excuse me? Minecraft?
It just pushed you out.
Yeah, okay. Alright. Interesting. I could write it up, maybe. Anyway.
So, early on, when I was in high school, and middle school, actually, I discovered my enjoyment of writing in middle school. No! I realized I enjoyed my writing in 4th grade. That's the first time I realized I am good at writing and I want to continue writing. I don't remember the prompt that was given to me in elementary school, but it was something to do with, like, they wanted me to, like, utilize the prompt of, like, something surprising to really capture the, like a hook to capture the audience attention. And I wrote something, and it went really well, and people were, like, really hooked by my story, and that just stuck with me. And so I started to continue to follow that into middle school and high school. And in high school specifically, I began, like, writing a book during the times when I was bored in between classes. Well, actually, even sometimes during class, to be honest. And I ended up...
Bad boy.
I ended up writing this story. Thank you. I'm so bad.
What a level you are.
I know.
You're so bad.
Ooh. Anyways, I ended up getting so deep into that. I got like 250 pages in. It was a story about, it was a sci-fi story about these human beings that existed on a planet that was in the far reaches of the Milky Way, shrouded by a light-bending nebula. And they discovered how to manipulate quantum physics and to teleport in any distance, instantaneously. And so I got like 250 pages into that sucker, and then I was like, this is too close to City of Heroes, and I stopped. And I got discouraged, because I thought, this is too close to City of Heroes, I'm just pulling off of this game. And then I did not continue that. And then, over time, I would get into these in-game role plays, like with Second Life, and then later with UGN, with our community acts, and you and I started that text-based RPG that we did for 5 years, and we just build this story, and I had so much fun specifically doing that. Sometimes more than others. Obviously, there was plenty of times where I was like, I don't have the energy for this right now, but we still consistently did it for 5 years. And then, ironically, I got back into City of Heroes, and lo and behold, my desire to actually get back into creative writing has come from the very place that took away my desire to do creative writing, because I got discouraged by it. We've come full circle over the span of how many years? I graduated in 2010, and that was roughly about the time that I stopped, somewhere within that time frame. So, in the span of a decade, I have come full circle. Well, a little bit more than 12 years.
12 years, yeah.
I've come full circle back to this. And it's thanks to some of the people that I've been role-playing with in City of Heroes and their enjoyment of my writing combined with all the compliments from you and other people that have roleplayed with me, telling me that I did a good job. And so just kind of it's come to a head, and now I've been getting back into creative writing. So I love writing, and sometimes also I feel like I can't express things properly unless I write it out, which is annoying for some people because they're like, well, I can't get all the nuances of your facial expressions and all that stuff. And I'm like, I understand, but like every time I look at you, my brain freezes up, and I have to like write this out, otherwise I will not actually remember what I was saying if I had just written it out in the first place. So that's kind of interwoven into who I am.
Yeah, I think part of what you were describing, though, I think is really common for a lot of people. There's a lot of situations where it's hard for us as human beings to like really kind of know what we're feeling when there's a person sort of like staring us in the face, waiting for a response. Sometimes it can be hard, especially if the sort of atmosphere in that moment is a little bit more hostile or aggressive. It can be really hard. Or I don't know if there's anything that makes you feel uncomfortable in those moments.
Just
it can be really hard to like.
Your words just go poof.
Yeah, it can be hard to think through what you're thinking, and so being able to write it down, even if you then follow it up with a conversation with that person, you have like what you've written there, so you can look back at it and remember the words that, you know, these are the things that you actually felt. It's not like you're. I don't know how to word this without getting too wordy, but. Maybe I should just cut it off there. I think that writing out your feelings a lot of times is very helpful.
Yeah. That's why people journal in the first place, too.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just... There are a few things that I've been able to learn only through writing about them.
Did we say nuance? Is that? Or are you just making an observation in general?
I'm curious. This pig is just gonna move right into this building that I'm making, which is so... Thank you, pig. I didn't want to have to capture you. Now I don't have to worry about it because you're already captured.
Thank you, buddy.
Sweet little piggy boy.
Little pigger boy. I can't find any cactuses.
Brandon did indeed say nuance, so I said nuance.
Wow. You're so nuanced.
Haha.
Has anyone found any cactus?
I have not yet found cactus, no.
I just need wad. Man, this whole session has been like just trying to get materials for the simplest little things. A rope pulley and then a... Ooh, this is an interesting area over here. Wow.
I'm gonna read from start to finish what Zap is saying here.
Okay.
So he's saying... in a fun sense, absolutely. Talking about writing, it's the one thing I can fall back on when all else fails. I just have to flow. I just have a flow that can go, and I can spend hours just typing. Which, that makes sense, Zap, because that's literally what you're doing here. like you are always writing something, it seems, so that makes absolute sense. And I've not read Rick Riordan books. I've not read Percy Jackson or any of those series of books. I've heard of Percy Jackson, but I've not actually read. It's weird. Okay, let me just point something out about myself too here. I am much more proficient at writing than I am reading. I don't know if I have dyslexia. I might. I don't know. I've not gone to have that tested to see if I am dyslexic, but it does take me extra time to read because I skip over sentences, I leave out entire words or whatever, and so I have to read and reread. But I can write no problem. So there's a lot of reading material I just have not gotten to. Not because I don't have interest in it, but because if I were to weigh it with all the other things I need to do or want to do, lower on the totem pole because of how long it takes me to read simple things. So just in case you wanted to know. Where did it even go? Okay, I have a friend who absolutely loves those books, so he wrote a kind of parody with a bunch of his friends, including me. And looking back on it, it sucks, but it was fun. Nice. And a year or so later, I was thinking about it again, and I decided to do my own kind of version of it. And I got up to about 60 pages and got an actual authored review. Wow, that's interesting. I'm not sure I want to tell the whole story because it's going to be the end of the stream by the time it gets done. Before last year, I have never heard the word nuance, and now I feel like people say it every other sentence. Okay, so that's where that came from.
You know, Zap, the fact that you look back at this collaborative story that you helped write in the past, and you look at it and you're like, wow, that sucks, it's probably a good sign. Like, if it means that I think you have refined your writing some, you know? I've heard this before. Like, if you can look back at your previous works and you don't see anything that you could improve on, you probably haven't grown that much in the field that you're working on, in the artistic endeavor, you know? So that's can be a sign that you're improving.
Look at you growing.
Yeah, look at you. Do not watch the movie, it's so bad.
It could also be, what were you gonna say? Before I
mean, it could also be, you know, being too
critical.
Critical, because I've done that. You know, I've been too critical of my work. That's actually like something that I have to watch myself with a lot. My advice for that would be get married to a woman that thinks you're great. she'll be able to like help you be like, no, this doesn't suck.
You're not wrong. Okay. Oh god, there's a zombie. You're not wrong, because the circumstance of which got me writing again was a woman. So
wow,
you're not wrong.
I mean, you know, something about like it something about it. Part of it is
I'll get married right away.
Yeah, easy. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a significant other necessarily. Just someone that you trust enough to be really vulnerable with, and allow them to like have a say in your life that you care about. So that when you show them something creative that you've made, or you show them a glimpse of that, like they can help you cultivate that, which is actually, I think, Brandon, I think that's another important part of cultivating creativity. Having people around you that can encourage you and remind you that even if one particular thing that you make isn't good, doesn't mean that you're bad. You're a bad artist.
Yeah. So.
And sometimes give you perspective on like, hey, this doesn't suck. You're just being too hard on yourself. You know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so having a support structure.
Yeah. It always comes back to talk to your friends.
Brandon, do you see anything you can improve on right now? Stack size. I will continue to do as I do. This is a part of my creative process. We're going to have stacks of maybe 300, 500, I don't know. Don't tempt me.
I can't say I agree with you on the stack size not being good, Zap. I think it's great. I think this endeavor has been a huge success. Yeah.
Having a shindig of a good old time.
We're having a good shindig time.
Yeah.
We're digging our shins in.
Don't you start!
I don't think I started. I think you were the one that brought up the stack size. I'm just supporting my boy.
Oh man. No, I mean like man, having people that can encourage you, like, honestly, one of the things I've recognized, Dan, that really the girl that I was talking to on City of Heroes, she was like the nail on the coffin or the icing on the cake, depending on what analogy or metaphor you want to use here, because there was a whole cake underneath the whole thing that was being made in the process of all the compliments from you, Axeman, over the years, or you, Dan, or from like James or other people in the community that as we've role played together. James actually is a great component to some of my confidence, to be honest. Sometimes Nate, and then just other people that I've shared my creative process with. Having all that over years and years and years, I don't think if I didn't have you guys encourage me over these years, then when the right person came along to kind of reap all that reward of jump-starting my creative energy again, like, that wouldn't have happened the same way, because it had just been one voice rather than that. It's like hold on. I'm gonna turn this into another picture. It's like I don't know why I can only think of it this way, but it's I guess it's efficient enough. It's like there's been a whole bunch of creative energy building from the encouragements and everything behind a dam, and then at the right moment, just enough hit that all that's been building up is now just pouring out of me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I believed you missed it, so I'll repeat. When's the next... Oh, I did not miss that. I forgot about it. I didn't miss it, though. So the next stream is probably going to be tomorrow, because Overwatch is still buggy. So we'll probably be playing some more Sea of Thieves tomorrow.
Overwatch is buggy?
Yeah, it's been bad for those who've been trying to be a part of, like, what do you want to call it? No, not necessarily groups. Specifically, ranked, for instance. People have been having issues whether the game would just cease. It just stop working. And
nice.
Yeah,
fun.
That's so good. Yeah. So, yeah, probably tomorrow is when we will have continued streams of Overwatch. Or not Overwatch, excuse me. Hello. Sea of Thieves. But yeah, creative processes, things that we can do to, what were you saying? Was it steward? No, cultivate?
Cultivate, sure, yeah.
Yeah.
That's one word I was using, yep. Yeah, I mean, I think having people around you is really important. Now, there's another component that we haven't really talked about that I think is important. Honestly, this could be like a series of streams, you know. There's a lot to talk about. But one part of it that we haven't talked about really yet is putting your work out there.
Ooh.
And that goes along with developing a tolerance, developing thick enough skin that you can handle critique without falling apart or wanting to give up on whatever it is, you know, whatever the creative endeavor is. And that's easier said than done. Like,
right.
When you're doing something creative, part of what makes it a creative thing is that you pour part of yourself into it. You know, it's personal in a lot of ways. And so when someone kind of dismantles it or even just critiques it, it can feel like a personal attack. It can feel very painful. That's something that I have experienced, you know, before. I think probably a lot of us have. But that being said, you can't keep your work just to yourself, because like part of creativity is, hello, sir.
I'm not here.
Okay. Now, part of the creativity has to be, oh, look at you. What a sweetheart. I did
Yep.
find some myself, but I appreciate
Oh.
the extra.
I spent the whole time like, you know what? I'm gonna try to find a lily of the valley. So I just been quietly running across the map, going high and low, trying to find these damn flowers.
I mean, you found a lot more than I did.
Oh,
I appreciate it.
I'm taking one back. You know.
Okay.
Wow.
No, putting your work out there. If you create all this stuff, whatever your art form is, you create a bunch of paintings, you write a bunch of short stories, you do a bunch of digital arts, create a bunch of songs, and you never show anyone. No one else ever gets to experience it. That's only like you've only done half of the creative process there. Like it's really not complete until someone else has experienced it. And it's almost the same thing as like I heard there was a Vsauce video actually a few years ago where we were Michael, hey Michael, Vsauce here, or hey Vsauce, Michael here, whatever he says.
Yeah.
He does say, hey Vsauce, Michael here. And he was talking about the fact that experiences aren't complete until you've shared them with someone else. You know, like if something interesting has happened to you and no one else was there with you, it's like part of that experience is telling someone about it. You know, you go to a foreign country and experience all of these things, you go and tell people about it. You're like, this is what happened. It was, you know, whatever. Or you bring someone along that can experience it with you. And I think creative endeavors are very similar because if you don't share whatever you've done with other people, I just don't think it's complete because you're creating the experience in that case for other people. And if you just keep it to yourself, it does feel a lot safer because you don't have to face the criticism and face the like uncomfortable or bad feelings of people not finding everything about your piece, you know, great. But if you don't do that, it just kind of stays in this vacuum, and it's like, did it ever really happen? You know, if a tree falls in the wood and no one hears it,
Does it really fall?
does it make a sound? That kind of thing.
Yeah. So, hey, Minimal? I guess I'll call you Minimal. Well, welcome. So, what we're doing is, right now, we've been talking about the creative process. Dan and I are big creative people. Like I really like to do a lot of writing, creative writing. And Dan is really good with like art, like making designs, all that kind of stuff. And so we have experience with the creative process. And we're just kind of sharing what we've learned while we just play a chill game of Minecraft. We've talked about...
Oh, good. I'm half a person. That's nice.
Yeah, wow.
At least I count for something.
Right, you count for half, I count for nothing. Wow. So we've been talking about Minimal about how you can't critique and create at the same time. We've talked about the importance of having a support structure of people with you in your creative process that can help you, encourage you when you're doing well but you think you're doing crap, or say, hey, this could be worked on. We've been talking about the need to... I really like that the art needs to be shared. It really does. Like I like what you were talking about, what you heard from Vsauce. Really a part of the experience is the sharing of it, because it's like, I don't know, it's just without it being shared, it's like there's a part of you that just kind of dies. Like, I don't know, I don't know, I love show and tell. It's just a huge part of me. And I'm going to get to your question real quick. So you say, what's going on right now? Also, the other question says, do you know where this is from? The world be fading, the earth is closing, and you are no longer welcomed and have died, and it is now time to meet him once again. And he brought you into the world, and he shall take you. No, I have no idea what that is.
Is it a song?
Is it a song?
Seems like
is
it might
it
be
a
a
quote?
song.
Like, I feel like that's something you know, but I definitely do not know.
Sounds like a quote more than a song to me.
Oh, you just made it up. Okay. Well, hey, that's interesting.
Huh.
The world be fading,
Poetic.
the earth is closing, and you are no longer welcomed and have died, and is now time to meet him once again. He brought into the world, and he shall take you. It's like, freely have given, freely give, or, wait. Oh, there was a statement that is... What is the statement? It's usually synonymous with, I brought you into this world and I can take you out of this world, which you hear from your parents all the time. The Lord giveth, the Lord taketh away. That's what I was trying to think of. My God. That was impossible for me to think about it in that moment, apparently.
Didn't even have to use my phone a friend.
I did not, exactly. I still have that as an option just in case you need to call that in. But welcome, Minimal. Good to have you here. So yeah, we've just been talking about the creative process, and just ways of cultivating it and stewarding it well.
Yeah. Yep. And it's a very like, it's one of those things it's hard. It's not an easy thing to cultivate. There's a lot of nuance. That was for you, Zap. No, but I don't know. There's a lot of things that are almost, I don't know how to put it, like unexplainable, or things that you have to experience and learn for yourself. It's not like a series of numbers and calculations and an easy solution to like how to be creative. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of learning from other people and taking what works for you and that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, that was another, speaking of which, that was another part of the creative process, is not being afraid. The statement that you read was a good artist borrow. No, a good artist.
Great artists borrow.
No,
good artists borrow. Great artists steal.
Great artists steal. Yes.
Yep.
That was another thing we were talking about, is the importance of not being afraid to copy someone else's work. Not in the sense of literally photocopying it.
Right. Don't copy and paste. That's not what we're saying. Don't copy and paste a paragraph or a photo or a song or a painting or whatever. Recreate it. Try to recreate it yourself. And in that process, you'll come up with something that's actually different than the original. And you'll learn a lot.
So yeah. That was
doing it.
That was another really good one, because when you had that statement that you had read off, Dan, from like a good artist borrows, but a great artist steals. I know that just kind of solidified what I already knew, that I need to be comfortable with just taking in what I see and utilizing. Because I have been, the reason why that hit me is because I have been coming up with some more lore to the text RPG thing that I've been doing on our Discord server, and which, by the way, Zap, since you are interested in writing, there's not any open spaces at the moment for another person to join, but if you'd like to observe it, I can give you the ability to observe the text RPG thing that we've got going on the thoughtraid Discord server. That aside, and you'd be interested in this one, Axeman, I've come up with a little bit more lore for why things are the way they are with the Sithran elves and everything. And this is an interesting, actually, this is an interesting part I don't think people think about for a part of the creative process, but I've kind of discovered. Asking God to help you be creative is very helpful and has made a big difference. Because I was talking about with like you guys, like how I don't really notice anything that's truly new, and sometimes I feel bad about that when I'm trying to create something, because it's like every time I think of a new idea, it already kind of exists somewhere. But when you had come up with that statement that great artists steal, I was like, okay, I don't have to feel bad about this anymore. But I have this whole new lore that I've been developing into our story related to the Sithran, specifically the Eighth Ghost Sithran, and the area that they're able to access in the ether, which I'll have to go over that when off stream or something, so I don't, take up too much time talking about it, because I can go all in on that. Like, God freaking dropped this whole idea into me and Noah's lap when we were trying to think about how to make this whole thing work, and ooh, it's something good.
Chef's kiss.
But I wanted to really quick see what you were asking, because you had a serious question. Let's see how serious it is. Zap.
If you had to phone a friend for a game show, who would you call?
I guess it would depend on the game. Like what the topic of the game is, because if it's, it really would depend on the game, honestly. Like, if I needed to know something about airplanes, I might call my dad, or this guy named Caleb that I know. Or if I were to need to know something about art, I might call you, Dan, or someone. Or if I needed to, I don't know, just it depends on who it is. Like, I can't just say any one particular person I would call on a pinch in a phone call. Let's say a geography question.
Geography.
Oh man. I might call Philip for that one. He's a librarian, so I feel like he might have gone through some of that in like and he also likes history, so he might also know a little bit more about, geopolitical boundaries and where things are located. He's not necessarily, that wasn't necessarily his study, but that is his interest, so he might know a good deal about it. What are your thoughts on this? He shall become nature. No, he shall become one with the universe and learn from the earth. Some say he stole from nature, but the intelligent ones call it a masterpiece. Huh. And yes, congratulations, Zap. He shall become nature. No, he shall become one with the universe and learn from the earth. And some say he stole from nature, but the intelligent ones call it a masterpiece. And is that intentional as in P-E-A-C-E? Or did you mean to say P-E-I-C or P-I-E-C-E? Because the wording of that could make a big difference.
Minimal, both of the little short, I guess, poems almost is what they feel like, that you've posted are very thought-provoking.
Mm-hmm. They've definitely stopped me to think about what I'm reading. It auto-corrected it to that. Okay, because I had a feeling you meant to say P-I-E-C-E, but autocorrect thought you meant to say peace, as in the feeling.
I'm just laughing at Zabs saying, it sounds like you're gonna be the author of the Bible too.
Excuse me, 2.0.
Bible revision 2.0.1.
It is very interesting, Minimal. The problem is, I am not very good with riddles or stuff like that. Like, I have the hardest time if someone puts something into a riddle. The Riddler would win and people would die. if I was responsible for solving it.
May not be a riddle.
It almost kind of comes off like one, though, in a way.
It could be, but like part of like sometimes art can just be up to interpretation, and like that's part of what makes it fun.
Yeah,
I don't know if that's the intention behind
that. That's fair. I was when I was at Eric's birthday party the other day. One of his friends came, and she was talking about how one of his coworkers, actually, more specifically, but she came and she was talking about her own art, her own poetry that she wrote, and she was talking about this one story that she heard where a person, they had their favorite author or whatever of this poem. They read it, and to them, the poetry meant something about overcoming shame, I want to say. But that was not what the author was going for at all. And like the author was like, "Oh, you're welcome. I'm so glad it helped." Which I think is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, so that's. I don't know. Maybe this might be an unpopular statement, considering that I'm on the internet playing Minecraft. But that's part of the reason that anime kind of doesn't do it for. A lot of anime doesn't do it for me. Is that there is little to no room for interpretation because of, like, the characters will just blurt out literally everything that's going on, and it's just like all exposition, no interpretation. That's not always the case. I know I'm making a broad, sweeping statement right now, but that's why I mean, honestly, that's why Better Call Saul is like my favorite show. I feel like it's very well written and very well acted, and there's so much like there's a lot of room for interpretation in the way that each character is portrayed and reacts to things and what they say. Like there's this moment where the main character Saul, it's actually kind of a whole arc where someone very close to him dies and he's kind of partially responsible.
Oh.
And it's someone that I don't want to spoil it, but like I'm trying to word it that doesn't, in a way that doesn't spoil it. But it's like it's someone that he should care for, but he doesn't. But maybe he does. It's like they never really fully give you the answer. There's a lot of room for interpretation there, because like there's a lot of moments where you think, oh God, he hates this person, and other moments where you're like, well, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he actually does like this person, and they never really clinch the answer and just like have this long exposition where he explains how he truly feels. That feels like it would kind of cheapen the character and make the story a lot less interesting. So moments like that where art leaves room for interpretation, and I feel like good art can be very thought-provoking. And not to say that if it's not thought-provoking, it's not good art, because I feel like that is also sort of a pitfall that a lot of people kind of fall into. Like intellectually, it's like, this, you don't even have to think about this one, it's not even good art. That's not necessarily true, because not all art is trying to accomplish that, but a lot of good art stays vague enough to leave room for interpretation. Does that make sense, everything I just said? I feel like I went on a long tangent there.
In some ways, I'll be honest, in some ways I'm good at art. You are good. I am good art. I am good art. I had to read that. See, that's why it takes me time to actually read, because I'll read it and I will like miss certain things. I am very thought-provoking. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. I can't tell if you're serious or you're making fun of me. I hope you're serious, because if you are, I appreciate that greatly. Even if you're not, I kind of appreciate it low-key.
Just gonna take it as a compliment.
I'm gonna take it even if it's a joke. But anyways, and I am low-key intimidated by what you're saying, though, Dan. Because I like my favorite thing sometimes portraying is what's the person feeling. What are they going through right now? I don't really portray much of the environment around them, because I don't focus on the environment around them. But I do focus on every. Oh, and also Minimal says your voice is 10 out of 10. You've got a great voice.
Hey, thank you. Wow, thank you.
I love portraying what the person is feeling and all that, because that's what I pay attention to most, is like, what are they feeling? What are they going through? I like to know these kind of things, because I pay high attention to those specific details, and I love a very emotional piece of whatever I'm going through. Like I do, in some ways, I enjoy anime a lot for the emotional value of what they bring. So I don't know what necessarily to do that, because the whole concept of show not tell intimidates me in a way.
Well, I mean, it's not that there's one right way, and that's why at the end of what I was saying, I kind of wanted to make a point that like that's not the only way to do art well.
Yeah.
To do something artistic or creative well. I think that is, it can be a very effective way, and but it's just, I don't know. Like, another thing to consider is like everyone's tastes and preferences in what they like to experience is different.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I know that like even in my friend group, I'm kind of the minority in how a lot of anime just doesn't really do it for me. But a lot of my friends watch anime, and I don't think they're like less than for doing that. But I was just kind of like explaining the reason why I find Better Call Saul so good and anime so lackluster a lot of times to me. And that's why. It's because there's so little room for how to interpret things that are going on, and yeah. But again, I want to make it clear, I'm not like a snobby art critic who's like, well, if you don't do it this way, you don't understand art.
No, it's just I recognize that specifically there is a lot of value to not showing everything that's going on, because I recognize that a part of good art is that space left for people to interpret something from it. Mm-hmm. So if you just describe everything, it's not as good as something that leaves a little bit of mysteriousness, a little mystique to whatever you're creating. So I get that. I don't feel as proficient in that, so it makes me feel insecure. It's like, oh no, I'm not already good at this.
But I mean, that's okay. Like,
I know.
It's part of the learning process. I think it is hard to. I think show don't tell is hard. It's not easy to do.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think a lot of the reason that I don't know. I feel like maybe a lot of the reason that anime doesn't do it for me is because it was made for another culture and then translated, localized for ours. There's just a lot of stuff that doesn't really hit the same for a Western culture. So, and like, I don't know, the weird restrictions they have about voice lines having to match up and timing and just all kinds of stuff like that can make it feel awkward.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, like, it's not. I guess I know why you feel intimidated, because I've felt that way before. But I don't want you to feel intimidated by it. Like, it's not an easy thing, and it's something that you could get better at too if you wanted to focus on.
Right. I'm right now. I'm just taking a chance to externalize what's on the inside to just so that people know, like, if they feel the same thing, you're not alone. But I want to go back to something you had asked, Minimal, and I didn't miss it. You asked, when I was talking about the emotions of anime, and you asked emotions, or emotions in whatever I'm watching. What that means is, like, I like, the thing that draws me to some media is, like, I like to be taken on an emotional journey with whatever I'm watching. Like, I want to cry, I want to laugh, I want to be angry at what I'm experiencing. I got to experience a lot of that with Arcane. I'm just going to put that out there.
Hey,
so beautiful.
Arcane is one of my favorite shows of all time.
Oh my god,
it's pretty great. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good. The all gambit of emotions that I was feeling the whole way through. My gosh, such a beautiful work of art. But I like it. Like, that's why I'm not so much. I can appreciate action. Okay, I can sit and watch an action movie, a dude flick, but like I do enjoy some good emotional pieces, like Violet Evergarden, I love the emotions that are pulled out of me from that, and like the story of a woman learning how to feel again because she was used as a weapon, or the story behind I still get teary-eyed over freaking, like, what is it called? Cells at Work. Just stupid. And that's
that is.
it's literally it's an anime designed to educate you on how the body works, and it personifies the cells of the body in a creative way. And that's what I like about most anime, is that it definitely tugs on my emotional heartstrings better than anything most other forms of media does. Not to say that nothing else does it like anime, but it definitely does its job in that. So just to kind of explain, when you were asking, what do you mean emotions? Also, to be fair, you kept saying that I'm doing a really good job playing Minecraft and getting deep. No, I'm still, this is all I've gotten done with the barn that I've been working on. Because I start working on, I'm like, ooh, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I get into a thought, and then I'm not quite sure where I'm headed with this or something. And then it just sits there half finished. This house, this house you see here, just point and reference, okay? This house took me six episodes to complete. Maybe, give or take. So yeah, I don't really view myself. Oh crap! I fell into a hole with chickens. I don't feel that I'm that good at it.
Zap, it is based on characters and I guess the setting from League of Legends. But I've never played. Well, okay, that's not true. I played League of Legends a couple times and I hated it every time.
Alright, good.
And yet, the show is so good.
It is really
And
good.
you don't have to know anything about. Honestly,
you don't even have to know anything about the game to enjoy the show.
Yeah, right. So, yep. Did you say good, Axeman?
Yes, I did.
You got a vendetta against League of Legends?
I don't like League. I'm never gonna be a good guy in League. I'm sorry, it's not for me.
Yeah, I mean, I thought, I was like, oh, jeez, I don't understand. What's the appeal here? Tim plays League still, right?
Minimal says, hey, does this sound emotional? Love has been broken. Lives have been taken. The rain showers all of those who live with the pain of loss. It is not time to meet God yet, so do not force it. And I probably did not read that in the cadence of which you meant it, because it feels like it's missing a couple of punctuations to know when to start and stop.
Definitely sounds emotional, yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about love being broken and lives lost.
Minimal, do you actually, out of curiosity, this is the third time you've done this, do you actually, like, process what people are saying by writing about it? Like, do you, like, hear it and then it just kind of goes into these specific words in your head, like, poetically? Because it seems to be the case, which is very interesting. Still don't know how I want to take this barn. I got this barn started, and I'm like,
let's get this barn started.
Let's get this barn on the road.
No.
Just build a road through the barn. There we go. Oh gosh.
You know what our houses need? Gutters.
Ah, yes. Gutters.
Yeah, dude. Let's see. Rain gutter. White dye. Oh, I need rain gutter.
Well, guess what? Yeah, plenty of that.
I do now, because someone great brought me a bunch.
No, I'm not great. I'm amazing. Get it right.
Oh, sorry, I didn't
It's
realize.
fine. Next time.
We'll work on it. We'll workshop it.
Humble back.
Well, I love it, Minimal. I appreciate that you've come on here and you've been just working on these creative ideas every time we're talking about something. I find it fascinating. You dare refer to me as great? Oh no, we were referring to Axeman as great.
Yeah,
Get
don't
in
worry.
line.
Gutter. Gutter!
I
I've
think.
made a
Oh, sorry. Oh, good.
Blanc. Wow.
I feel it. I feel it in my bones. I feel like 9:15 will be the stopping point.
Yeah. Another few minuts.
A little few moments, yes.
A few more moments.
Before we end the stream today, do you guys have any other like questions you want to ask? Thoughts that are on your head, on your mind head? Hello, on your mind,
My mind head.
your mind head. Because we always like to just take on what people are thinking. It's thought raid.
Yes.
This will give me a chance to continue working on this roof and actually do something with it instead of it just sitting there. It's going to end up, at this point, I've come to the determination it's not going to look tremendously different from what I normally make, and I'm just living with it right now.
Yeah, I mean, oh god, I fell. My build really started that way, but it's kind of turning into a little something. I mean, it still looks pretty similar to what a lot of the style that I usually go for. But now we've got gutters!
Woo!
And like this water wheel and stuff.
Well, I can definitely say, Minimal, that I definitely took this from YouTube. Not YouTube. From Google. The first time I made something with this type of roof, I found it on YouTube, or from Google somewhere, and I've just kind of used it ever since and made it my own. So, as much as I'd like to say that this is completely my idea, it is not. But it is mine, because I am the one who makes it like this every time, and I've made adjustments over time.
So, Zap, you just write. You don't put any thought into anything. So, I don't know, because when I'm curious what you mean, because whenever I write, I have like a goal, I have an idea, I have a thought, some sort of ultimate whatever that I want to communicate. It's hard for me to like turn my... It almost sounds like abstract art in writing form, which I don't know if I'd be able to do.
Abstract writing.
Yeah.
Also, what does SOZ mean? I have seen you say that a couple times, and I've never seen it before.
Sorry.
Sorry?
Sorry. That's pretty sure. I don't know. Am I hip? Who knows?
Am I hip? Am I happening? Am I like all the cool kids?
Am I a real boy?
Am I a real boy? Am I just one of those poser boys? Oh, so you're just saying so, but with a Z.
No.
Got it. No, unfortunately, you're not hip.
I got half of it right.
You're more like a hip replacement right now.
Oh!
Wow!
He was already in pain. You didn't have to kill him.
Actually, I think I have one question. I don't know
Okay.
if it's really topic themed, but I am curious. What's your favorite creative work you guys ever made?
That's on theme. Sounds like.
Is it? I mean, it's conserving creative energy, so I thought it's sort of. I don't know.
Yes. Yeah. What's our favorite work that we've ever made? Shoo, boo, 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 boo. That's a big question.
I would have to say it is the roleplay that we've been doing with UGN, and then been continuing since that point. That would be my favorite work. If it has to be exclusively me and doesn't have anyone else involved, then I would have to say my favorite work would be... I want to say it's the book that I wrote in high school, but I've been kind of removed from it in some ways, so it's hard to say if that's accurate. But it's the first thing that comes to mind, because I am proud of it. I spent such a long time working on it and just pouring my heart into this story. So that'd be me.
Dude, I'd have to don't know. I'd have to like go down creative memory lane to. I've done a lot of different creative things in my life. Actually, when I was pretty young, I would draw, and I was okay, and I got into like graffiti style art. I didn't actually like tag anything. I would just like make art that kind of looked, you know, like that stylized text and stuff like that. So I did that for a while, and I started doing music actually for a little while. I wasn't very good at that, but it was fun, just like doing electronic music. And then graphic design, photography, video editing, most recently DMing and painting miniatures. I don't know, man. Maybe, okay. Without really committing to this answer.
Wow.
I know it's not that big of a deal, but I'm like making it so much bigger of a deal it needs to be. But I'm gonna do it. And without committing to this answer, I would say that like at least recently, I think my the what I've been most proud of creatively has been some of the terrain that I've created for the D&D sessions. I've done I've made a lot of terrain out of what is that called? Insulation. There's like insulation foam that I will like carve and cut and stuff like that, and then paint and turn into like terrain for the different encounters that the party faces, and I'm very proud of those pieces.
Sounds very cool, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Minimal says, if you hit this point, what would you do? If you hit this point, what would you do? I have done so much, but I feel so little. But it feels so little. Years spent doing this with one goal in mind. I have done my life's work. Now what is left for me? If you hit this point, what would you do? If you've done so much, but it feels so little. Years spent doing this with one goal in mind. I have done my life's work. Now what is left for me? So a point where you feel like you've done it all, essentially, is what you're asking. It's like, what would you do if you felt like you've done it all? And I feel like in that situation, it'd be a matter of, like, taking risks and trying new things. Because if you've done all there is to do in one area that you're pretty proficient in, it's time to do something different. Like, it's impossible to have done everything there is to be done.
Yeah, expand the horizons.
It is time to expand.
Gather new inspiration, which is another thing that we've been talking about, how important that is to the creative process.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that pretty much heavily too. Of like, at some point, I am going to need to experience new places, go new places, do new things. That will help me with the creative process, because how can I describe what I have not seen?
Yeah.
I can only take other people's word for it, but that can only take me so far.
Yeah, and people talk about writing what you know, and if you don't know, because you haven't experienced, then you can't really write.
It's hard to write to it, yeah. Is living forever a curse or a blessing? It would greatly depend. That's a deep philosophical question right there. Is living forever a curse or blessing? We'll stop with that, because I don't want to take any more questions. We need to end it here soon. So I'll answer what I think on that, and you can answer what you think on that, and then we'll end there. Your guy Deadpool did not like it. Yeah. Living forever in a world that is rotting and slowly decaying would probably be its own kind of hell. you could probably find things of which you enjoy in it, and maybe you could also find hope through the process to live forever in a completely rotted world. But living life eternally in a world where it is not in constant decay and disarray, I don't think would be hell. It would be life, and very life-giving. One of the things that I'm convinced of that it would not be hell to live forever given the right circumstance is what I ended up watching this one particular episode from Star Trek. Star Trek, specifically Voyager, which is the third or fourth installment. You had like Star Trek, The Next Generation, I think Star Trek Deep Space Nine, and then there's Voyager, so fourth. And in it, you have, if you've never watched Star Trek, there is this race called the Q Continuum. They're omnipresent, so what to speak, possibly omnipresent, almost omnipotent as well, and they're practically almost God in this series. And there was one particular Q that wanted to die because he had been through all things, seen all things. There was nothing left to be learned or experienced. The only thing left to experience was to die, and go into permanent non-existence. And that caused a huge stir in the Q Continuum. And for whatever reason, in their infinite wisdom, they decided, let's consult humans on what to do about this matter. And so they ended up having this trial on the Voyager, and which case it kind of turned in the guy's favor to let him die, essentially. Otherwise, they wanted to imprison him. And so to kind of make sure that the judges, the humans, knew what they were, judging upon so they could judge fairly, they brought them into the Q Continuum and they showed them there was like this mock representation of what it was. It was like one person who had this small magazine of what was left to be known, and then there's this other person with this gigantic book which was all that was known. And pretty much on the magazine was anything that this person who wanted to die had done. That was all the new things that were done. And so at that point, it was insanity for him because there was nothing new for him to experience. However, I believe that there is a God who exists outside of space-time, who is omnipotent, who is omniscient, and who is omnipresent. And therefore, for us, not being those three things, we will never run out of new things to experience, to see, to do, or whatever, because he himself is infinity. And so I think given the right environment, eternal life is not something that is terrible. But given an environment without God, apart from him, and especially one like we live in which has been decaying, yes, it would be hell to live forever. It would be a curse. So that is my take on what you're asking, Minimal. Do you have any thoughts, Dan?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I have anything. Let me think. I mean, I also believe in God. I also believe that God is a good, benevolent God. And if you lived life eternally without purpose, I think that could very much feel like hell. But if you had purpose and security and safety, which is what he describes heaven to be like, then I think eternal life would not be hell. I think it would be really interesting, especially because I think, if you believe in God, then you have to take a look around at like all of I guess just the fact that there is so much in the universe, in the world, even before we get to the universe to discover. There's just new things to discover and be inspired by. That would mean he's a very creative God, and that heaven would be a very creative and inspiring place to be. So eternal life there would be very fulfilling and interesting. So yeah, that's what I think.
There you go. And is there anything that you want to weigh in with that, Axe, or do you think you're good?
I mean, I would get bored if I lived forever.
Yeah.
Because, like, I couldn't have anyone else in my life. 'Cause everyone I know would die and I would just keep going. So, like, that would be sort of depressing. I wouldn't be able to share my experiences with someone with my life because I live forever.
And so your perspective is like, if you were to live forever in the world as it currently is.
I mean, I thought that's what's happening. If it's like a perfect reality where everyone could just live forever, then yeah, I'm fine with that.
Yeah. I was looking at it from both perspectives of like, if I were to continue to live in a world like it currently is now, and if I were to live in a world where death would not be a problem. So yeah. But okay, cool. If God is real, then wouldn't he have the same problem of knowing all? That is something I'll have to go into another time. Because I could answer more questions, and then we would never end the stream. And I am hungry for spaghetti.
I
have a quick thought about that though.
Oh, okay.
Just real quick before you end. I mean, part of like the excitement of being a parent, or well, I'll say being a parent, is to be able to show your child new things, and I think that God gets that same excitement with us being able to, like, us experiencing the good things that he's created would be very fulfilling. Like watching us, being with us as we experience those things, I think would be a very fulfilling thing. It's almost like the same thing as, like, not quite the same, but you show someone your favorite video game, your favorite show, or one of your favorites, and they get really into it. Like, that's really exciting to be able to show someone something that you love and have them experience it for the first time. So
I would definitely say so, yes, Minimal. He would like our reactions, yes. Like, just as much as you might have a lot of fun sharing something that you've done with your friend and to see what the reaction would be to that, I think. Because it's like, what you talked about this earlier about the creative process. Part of it is sharing it with people. Like, I think God likes to share himself with others and people to enjoy in who he is and what he's created just as much as we enjoy the same thing. Because we are creating his image, so we have similar desires that he would have. So, yeah. Blue,
Zap, I see what you're doing.
30, video games or writing. I lived in Florida. A house at Sci-Fi because we wanted to fit more stuff into our inventory. There you go.
Nice.
Perfect. Ending stream right here.
Ending stream now.
Well, I want to thank you guys for watching. It's been a lot of fun. If you've enjoyed this stream, make sure to like it and to subscribe and hit the bell notification so that you can know when we go live next if you're on YouTube. Or if you're on Twitch and Facebook, make sure to follow us so you can join us because we love having you guys be part of this. And Zap, thank you for joining us. Minimal, thank you for joining us. Axe, thank you for joining us today. I'm very grateful for the three of you being a part of this the whole time. It really is what I enjoy most about being a live broadcaster and sharing this whole world with you guys. So, thank you. But
the meaning of life is 42.
Anyways, with that said, we broadcast every week on Monday, Friday, and Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we'll be live again tomorrow with some more Sea of Thieves I think we're going to be playing, so you'll definitely want to be there for that.
I can see far away from where I've been. He says I see a potential. I see a potential in my eyes. I see a potential. I never lost sight of the reason why you're alive. you're alive. You're alive. We sing Jesus.